higher, farther, faster. Just compose for the thumbnail there. Just there we go. So the Marvels. The film is going to make or break Marvel. MCU is in trouble. MCU is dying. It's just not the same anymore. This is the film that's going to do it. And, they're just dying on the vine. Comic book fatigue setting in. Can we all just shut up about that, please? It's not. Look, I don't want to. I'll keep this brief. If you're tired of the MCU, that's fine. But stop pushing your narrative about the MCU being dead, that it's dying. You would need to have literally 3 or 4 movies in a row that didn't do well critically. And we've had a couple that didn't do great, but didn't do well critically. And I mean didn't do well, like rotten. We've only had 2 rotten MCU movies, and only one of them was this year. Didn't do well with the audience, and didn't do well financially. And guess what? Ant-Man and the Wasp 3 was the biggest flop Marvel's had in forever, and it still made nearly $500 million. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 was beloved, which automatically kills the conversation. And now we got this. So can we please just stop? I heard someone put it best. I think it was Eric Voss from New Rockstars, but we're not comic book fatigued. We're franchise fatigued. Look, you want proof of that? Fast X did not make its money back. Mission Impossible, which was a fantastic movie, actually didn't do that well. We're not comic book fatigued. We're franchise fatigued a bit. And because Marvel hasn't been putting out their A game as of late, they've now shown that they are fallible. A lot of people decided to jump on that bandwagon that they've been jumping on for years, and now only now are they starting to show cracks in the armor, are saying, see, we're right. It's like, no, you're not right. You're grasping at straws. When we have 3 movies in a row, I'll say this, 3 movies in a row that the critics don't like, the audience don't like, and or do terrible at the box office, then we'll get back. I say all this because the Marvels, as it stands right now, at least critically and audience-wise, is not bad. 62% of the critics like it, and that's probably going to stay about right there. It's about 221 reviews from the critics, maybe goes up 1%, maybe goes down 1%. 62%, not great, but if I recall correctly, I think that's actually better than no, that's not better than the original Captain Marvel. Although, Captain Marvel, hold on. And Marvel, because I got Rotten Tomatoes right up here right now. Captain Marvel, let's see here. Oh, my Marvel. Let's see, from the original Captain Marvel, and by the way, this current one has an audience score of 85%. And okay, now I see what the problem was. This was before they introduced the verified audience rating, because there's no way that the original Captain Marvel was 45% bad by the audience, because it made over $1 billion. So that's a load of shit. But that being said, the original Captain Marvel was actually only 79%. Now, again, I haven't actually gotten into the movie, almost 4 minutes in. I say all this as someone who actually, and I redid my Marvel ranking a while back, finds Captain Marvel to be their least favorite Marvel film. The original Captain Marvel is fine. It's not great. I actually even like Iron Man 2 and Thor, The Dark World, and Ant-Man and the Wasp more than Captain Marvel. And it really all stems down to the fact that A, it's a prequel, so there's really no stakes involved. And B, our lead isn't very likable. Like, she's not like horrible, Brie Larson's terrible. No, it's not Brie Larson. It's the lead. It's the writing for the character of Carol Danvers. Carol Danvers really isn't that interesting of a character, to be honest. Even in the comics, she's not all that likable. So I say all that to say, I really enjoyed this film. I had a blast with this film, actually. It is not perfect. Oh, no, it is not perfect. And I'm going to start with the negatives because I want to get those out of the way. But as a follow-up to a film I actually find to be the least impressive of the Marvel MCU, and following up 2 really good Disney Plus series with Miss Marvel and the WandaVision, this is a great little entry. Is it fantastic? No. Is it the best? No. Is it in the upper half of the MCU? Ooh, I have to get my list there because I know I still have a list over there. Ooh, is it in the upper half? I don't think I'd put it in the upper half. But as a fun, vibrant, colorful ride, I had a lot of fun with this movie. Now let me get some of the negatives right out of the way right now. And I love the fact too. One of the people I watched for reviews brought this up. The plot is Spaceballs. Is literally the plot of Spaceballs. The villain is not the. They've gone bad. We've gone from having some really good villains. Even Kang in a lackluster Marvel movie is still a great villain. And I'm probably gonna do a review for Loki today too, so I'll talk about that later. But even Kang in a lackluster movie was a good villain. We've been having solid villains for a good long while. We had Black Panther, good villain. Gore, good villain in a lackluster movie in Thor Ragnarok. Wanda, fantastic villain. You had the villains come back for Spider-Man. Simu Liu and Shang-Chi. Icarus was not a. The villains in like the I can't remember what in the Eternals. The Deviants weren't that great, but Icarus as a kind of dual villain hero kind of thing, that was good. So we've been having Marvel's been really killing it with their bad guys as of late. Here we kind of drop the ball again and go back to a lackluster villain. The character herself isn't bad. Like you buy her motivation and where it comes from. But what she's doing and the threat she's posing is legit. She herself, though, is not threatening. She actually comes off very much like a tantrumy little child in many ways, who just happens to have some very serious abilities. I think the issue I have, like I said, what she's doing, the causality of her actions is bad. But she herself isn't that intimidating. And I think that comes from one of the other issues I have with the movie, is the script is not the greatest. It works when we're dealing with our three main leads most of the time. But when we're dealing with the villain, when we're dealing with some dialogue with our main characters, it's lacking a little bit. Like the stuff with Nick Fury's good. Kamala's family is still gold. And Monica's fine, and Carol's fine. But like anything involving the villain, like the plot structure of that, and beyond that with the script, there are issues brought up in the film. For instance, Monica being angry at Captain Marvel. That seems like there should have been about 5 minutes more of story involved for her to forgive her like she does. When it really speaks to, I think, the compressed time we have here. So yeah, because this is the shortest Marvel movie we have, so I think it speaks to the compressed time, the stuff that was probably left on the cutting room floor. Maybe that would have helped flesh a little bit more of this out. Yeah, and then there's the last thing I'll complain about, honestly, is there's a scene in this movie that seems completely out of nowhere. Like Shape of Water dance number nowhere. There's this planet, and you see it in the trailer where they go. Now, initially, it's believed that this was one of the planets in Marvel where it's actually men have no rights and only get rights if they marry women. Women like dominate the planet. And it's not like sexist in the same. It's not like sexist commentary per se. It's more like that's just the way their culture works. But no, actually, it's, for lack of a better term, it's Disney the planet. We've established that there are alien races like Drax that like mentally are different. Like they can't understand sarcasm. They don't understand metaphors or anything like that. Here we have a planet where they speak only in song. And it literally turns into a Disney number. And I'm sitting there with my friend and we're watching it. We're like, this is entertaining, but this is like we are like, here's our mission. Oh, one side quest here, but then like, whoa, back to the plot. Like it does that. Like what the hell's going on here? But beyond that, I actually have a lot of praise for it. Like again, it's not one of the more in-depth Marvel films, but first off, it's the most likable I've had Carol Danvers at all in the MCU. Legit, this is the most likable. Because she's actually got characters to work off of. Kamala Khan, Manvalani she's the show, her and her family are the show stealers. 100% they are. She is still so fun and lovable from the first one, and now she's meeting her idol, and she's just like gushing about it. Now, granted, the one thing that did carry over from the trailers when I was watching the trailers for this movie, I'm like, Kamala, I know you're excited, but you do need to take this a little bit more seriously. That's all that I will say that. But she's just so sweet and lovable. And I love the fact, too, that the nerd, that Iman Vellani, who is a nerd, she's such a Marvel fan. I love her for that. He brings up, there's a line where they're saying, because we see that the Kree villain, who's played by, I brought up the IMDb here, hold on, who's played by Zoe Ashton. Dar-Ben is her name. Has this his power rod or whatever, annihilator, whatever. And then she says, I would have gone with Cosme Rod. It's like, whatever. And even my friend goes like, yeah, that's a better name. Like, I want to tell her, that's what it's called in the comics. Because Mom Molly is such a nerd, that was an ad-lib thing. I love it. So yeah, but Captain, this is the most likable I think we've had Captain Marvel. She's finally able to get to emote a little bit beyond what we've had, especially in the first movie where she is just so. Honestly, she's really just not engaging in the first Captain Marvel or in Endgame. She's just not engaging. She has no real personality. Now that is part of the plot of Captain Marvel. I get that. But even when she's smiling or cracking jokes, there's just no emotion to it really at all. It all feels like autopilot. Here, there's actually emotion. She's actually able to express a bit more, which I think really works, particularly with her interactions with Kamala and Monica. I also like Monica's story. Again, I feel it was a little condensed down, like the whole forgiving Captain Carol and all that, but I do like her story and where it ends up at the end. I do like that, and what we could still see more of her in the future. They do a cool job. They show all their powers really well, and they do a really cool thing. There's a great little montage of them just training to swap places. It's really fun. I will actually say, though, among the three, she might be the weakest. But then again, that might be Carol, and none of them are bad either. But I'm saying the least engaging, I would say. Maybe. I don't know. It's tough. There was something that wasn't, like, she was like 98% clicking for me throughout most of the movie. And it just, other than that, though, I'm like, but there was like maybe one or two moments where like, something's not clicking here. And I can't really put my finger on it. The action sequences are fun. It's the first time they're swapping places. You see it a bit in the trailer. It's the fight taking place on a Kree ship and in Kamala's house, so they're constantly rotating. It is so much fun. And my friend was just going, oh shit, throw hands. And then there's a scene you see with the trailer where she's Kamala's falling, and they gotta do. I'm like, holy crap, they are really making this a lot of fun. Yeah, the power swapping stuff, I think, or place swapping stuff is actually really fun. It really is fun. And there are some Marvel theories that are confirmed, like, for instance, what Kamala's bracelet is. A lot of people have been thinking one thing. Some people may have been thinking another. It is revealed what it is in the movie, and it's kind of, I'm not going to say what it is, but it's what I think a lot of people thought. They do also they are now finally starting to tie in between Loki's season finale and this. They are now really starting to tie the multiverse stuff in. That mostly comes at the end, and all I can say about that is stay for that. It's a mid-credit, it's not a post. You don't really have to stay past it, but stay for that mid-credit scene because, man, I heard there was a rumor going around about it, and I had heard the rumor. And I'm watching, it's like, okay, who's it going to be? And then I hear and I hear the voice. I'm like, no. Oh, yeah. I'm like, yeah. Woo! Like, I got jazzed. I really did. And it's not a mid-credit scene, it's the last tag of the movie. But the last tag of the movie also is actually setting something else up as well, which I think has been being hinted at with a lot of these characters being introduced, but is still, I think, interesting that they are leaning towards that. So I look forward to seeing that as well. And should note, Flurkins are awesome, and Nick Fury is actually good in this film, as opposed to being off and on good in his own show. The best parts of Nick Fury in Secret Invasion really were with him and his wife, I think. That scene, again, that whole episode involving him and his wife, that was the best episode of that series, bar none. The whole, and did you get what you wanted in this life? I did. And what did you want? To be loved and be called beloved. And then would say, I don't know if we should get a divorce or renew our vows. Like, damn, that was so good. And the rest of the series is just kind of, and then the season finale just boom, just done. Oh, pissed me off. I haven't actually done a review on Secret Invasion. I should, because I'm going to do a review for Loki season 2. I think I might as well just do a review on Secret Invasion as well today. Because I'm either going to, actually, I'll probably do that tomorrow, because I've got the What If tomorrow, and I got a birthday who would win to do tomorrow. So maybe I'll just keep the Marvel reviews for tomorrow. But anyway, yeah, no, look, 62% of the critics liked it. 85% of the verified audience likes it. So the majority of people like the film. Now, they're still talking about how it is a bit messy, and it is a bit messy. But it is still a fun ride. Look, Marvel is not dead. Marvel is far from dead. Like, seriously, everyone who's jumping on that bandwagon needs to get off that bandwagon, because you're making yourself, frankly, not look... I don't want to say you're really making yourself look like an idiot, because it's coming from a legit place of concern. But I'll say this, to the people who are concerned about the MCU, that's one thing to say. To the people who want to see the MCU fail, or have just been on this bandwagon so long and are trying to feel justified in their, for whatever negativity you have towards it, and I really, like, if you don't like Marvel Comics, that's fine, but why do you gotta be negative about shit? Why you gotta ruin other people's joy? They're the people I would say you're being an idiot. They're it. For the people who are just overall concerned about the MCU right now, this is on the better side of the fence of the MCU than we've had. And honestly, when you really break down the MCU, and this is the last thing I'll say, starting from Black Widow, which I think is the appropriate place to start after, and to now, what have we really had? We've had an okay film with Black Widow. All right, wasn't the greatest. Then we had Shang-Chi, which everyone loved. Eternals, which didn't get the best reviews at first, but had a really good cult following. Then you had Spider-Man, so let's put it on good and bad, or good, okay, and I'll put bad on the okay side as well. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, you know what? The critics didn't love it, and maybe the audience had some issues, but guess what? The box office and the overall audience reception spoke. It did fantastic. Then you had Thor: Love and Thunder, which I think most people would agree is on the okay at best side. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever is almost in the middle ground here. I'll lean towards good. Not as good as Black, but I'll lean towards the good. Then you got Ant-Man and Wasp, that goes on that side. Absolutely. Guardians of the Galaxy. And I would put the Marvels probably on this side. So it's about 50-50, and nothing on this side except for maybe Ant-Man and the Wasp was overall that bad. So I think where a lot of people really start to get into the bad, like the MCU's dying, is the Marvel shows themselves. Because on that front, we got a lot more failures than we do successes. We got Loki season 1 and 2. In fact, I'll count those as separate, because the first season 2 we got for a show. We got WandaVision, but then we got Hawkeye, not overly great. What If is generally liked. Moon Knight is a weird one. I think Moon Knight falls mostly on the side of good. You got Falcon and Winter Soldier, which would be also good. But then you got She-Hulk. Then you had Secret Invasion. But then you have Miss Marvel. So you still got a bunch of shows that are generally well received, and some very well received. And then you got 3 duds. We'll call them duds at minimum. So I think it's just because I think now the problem is we're just seeing so much of the MCU between the TV and the movies that when we see that we're noticing, because of the volume, we're noticing the problems more because there's just more to notice. If more time was spent on these things and we had more time between them, it'd be one thing. I digress. The Marvels, I think, is a fun time. I do recommend it. If you have seen the movie, what do you think in the comments below? But thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you folks next time. Later.